In this video, I'm going to be giving you a review of the Benchmade Lifesharp program. So normally I wouldn't bother having a knife shipped off to the factory to be sharpened and have some work done, but this situation is a little bit different. So I was up in Spokane, Washington for work and went to the local REI there, and I realized that they actually had a Benchmade Saddle Mountain, this one here, used in the garage sale session. So if you don't know what that is, REI is like an outdoor store. And if you're a member, which is this $20 a month, you can buy used equipment where either it's damaged or the people just didn't like it, and they bring it in to return it for full price, and then you can buy it at a really steep discount. Normally, the stuff is damaged, and it's something that's kind of hard to repair, so it's kind of rare to actually see a knife there. So I asked an employee to look at the knife, and on the tag of the description of the item, it says not able to be sharpened, which obviously isn't true for any knife. And it said it had some small chips in it, which sure enough, when I looked at the item, and I'll have some B-roll here of it, you can see that there are some small chips near the end of the blade. So you can see here, the knife looks fairly rough, and the sheath has a lot of wear as well. It looks like the previous owner did put this knife through some abuse. So it's impossible to know. My guesstimation for what happened is they were prying something with the tip of the blade, and that would cause this kind of chip. But since it is kind of up and down towards the tip of the blade, my guess is they were just hacking at something harder than they should have been, and that would cause the chipping as well. So on this particular model, the steel is S30V, which is a pretty hard steel and really shouldn't get this kind of damage from normal wear and tear. So that's why I think there was some kind of abuse on this actual blade. So the awesome part about this, because nobody likes buying a chipped knife, but the blade was only $60. Which normally these run for around $170 to $180, so that's an awesome deal, around a third of the price that it should have been. While I was out at the store looking at the knife, trying to decide if I wanted it or not, I knew I could resharpen it myself, but I had always heard that Benchmade had basically a lifetime guarantee on their blades, and they have something called the Lifesharp Program, so I decided to give that a try. So the reason I said this is a little different, with most of my knives when I sharpen them, they don't have a horrible edge, they're just dulling a little bit, they're not chipped. And because this is S30V and it has those chippings in it, I figured it would be kind of a pain to sharpen. So I thought I'll just let Benchmade do it since they do it for free. So how this program works is you have to pay to ship it to Benchmade, but all of the work and the shipping back to you is totally free. They will clean, oil, adjust, and resharpen your knife to the factory edge. And like I said, that doesn't cost you anything. And this is through the life of the blade, so even though I wasn't the original owner of this knife, they'll still do the work, which is a nice benefit. So once it gets there, they do all the work, they ship it back to you. If you need anything beyond just a resharpening or something kind of like this blade here, you'll have to go through their actual warranty process, which is a different process. It's not just one form. I believe you have to contact them and tell them what's happening with it, but I think they'll still take care of it. So just know it's a different process if something like the tip broke off of it or the handle broke. So I haven't actually shipped this blade off yet, at least for the first half of this video. The website says the turnaround time is 1 to 2 weeks. Today is August 22nd, so I'll ship it out to Benchmade tomorrow on the 23rd. And I'll let you know from the time I ship it off to when I get it back, how long that is. See if it's actually in that 1 to 2 weeks. I'm guessing that's 1 to 2 weeks of work time. So if it's in 3 weeks with the shipping, that wouldn't surprise me either. But I'll let you know here in like a minute or two in this video. So it took me a while to get around to filming the second half of this video. But I got my knife back, and it was almost exactly 2 weeks after I sent it off, which I think is pretty impressive if you account for shipping time in there. So if you are buying an everyday carry knife, you don't want to be without it for months at a time or a month and a half. So knowing that you can send it off and get it back within 2 weeks or around that 2 week mark is awesome. So that might just be a one-off sample. I'm sure the times can vary a lot depending on how busy they are, but for me it was pretty fast. So how did it turn out? The main issue I had with it was up here on the tip, there was chips, and it wasn't very sharp. So I don't know if this will show up very well in the B-roll, but the chips are basically gone, which is awesome. Like, I can kind of see a spot where it looks like a little bit of an imperfection there, but it doesn't feel like there's actually a chip anymore. and it's back to basically a factory sharpness. So I don't like the way most YouTubers show how sharp a knife is by either shaving with it or cutting paper. So you'll just have to kind of take my word for it that it's as sharp as a factory Benchmade that you would normally buy new, which I'm perfectly happy with. That's good enough for me. If I use it a little bit, I can sharpen it up myself later. So one thing I see a lot when people send knives to somebody to be worked on is they can have pretty different expectations, and sometimes it's to the extreme, but on the good side. What I mean by that is the blade will be almost completely redone. They'll do stuff like exchange the actual hardware in there. You might get new scales on it if your scales are scuffed up. If your sheath has issues, like how this one has these little scuff marks, they'll replace it. So Benchmade did not go that far with it. But I didn't really expect them to either. So I basically expected them to get the chips out and get the blade back to, as far as usability, to where it was new. And that's exactly what they did. So I don't think it's bad that they didn't do all of that, because the turnaround time would probably be a lot longer per individual knife. And if you think about how many people send their knives back to Benchmade, that would start stacking up a lot, and they probably wouldn't be able to do this program for free. So I personally don't find that a negative. Just know you're just getting your edge redone. It's not like you're getting an entirely new knife every time you send it in. So the things they didn't necessarily restore that they could have if this would have been a really high-end service is this blade has kind of weird coloration on it. If I put up a picture side by side of this one compared to what's on their website and what I've seen in person new, the blades are a different color. I don't know why that is. I'm guessing the owner before me used some kind of oil on it or some kind of substance trying to clean it up, and it kind of permanently changed the color. So that probably would have been more trouble than it's worth. I don't even know what it would have taken to get that off there. So I'm not upset about that. Also, like I said, the sheath has scuff marks on it still. And there's stuff like there's little icons there from where REI marked it as used. For me, this is probably going to be a bushcraft knife. Not that I'm much of a hunter, but if I went hunting, this would probably be the knife I would take. So, it doesn't really bother me. I don't mind at all. I just want to make sure anybody watching this for a review knows the level of service you're getting. Don't expect it to be looking like a new knife when you get it back. Just know the usability will be there. Like for me, buying this for around $60 and having it brought back to factory new blade, awesome. Super happy with my purchase and with the service I got from them. So just wanted to let you know what to expect. So if anyone watching this has had experience with Benchmade customer service or a program like this in the past, let me know what your experience was down in the comments, and thank you for watching.